Hi, I'm Mel, and I've had a fabulous journey over the last 8 3/4 years, showing people how to use this fabulous machine, the ScanNCut. So I wanted to teach you how to cut Mylar. Now, Mylar is the material that we cut stencils out of, or masks. And we've managed to source, and this is available internationally, a really nice weight and quality of Mylar that you can use on any of your ScanNCuts. So if you look at the Mylar that we use generally as for cutting stencils on a laser, it's denser. So it's thicker and it's denser. And you can see just by looking at the difference between how my hand looks through there. This is a thicker, this one is too thick or too dense to be cut with the ScanNCut. This one, however, is perfect. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to know about this. First of all, you need a really tacky mat. So either a new mat or a mat that has been re-tagged with Pinflair stencil glue. And Pinflair stencil glue is a glue that you put onto your mat. There's a whole video on YouTube showing you how to do it. So please follow that because that's important. And you can re-tack your mat with that product so it lasts longer. But also it gives you the opportunity to be able to cut things like plastic. Because there's no fibres in this for the machine to grab to or the mat to grab to, plastic is going to want to move, especially on a moving platform with a moving blade. So we need to make sure that our mat is really nice and sticky before we do this. You're going to place your Mylar on top of your mat and you're going to take your scraper and you're going to burnish this down really well so it's properly stuck down to that mat. Now you can do it with the auto function. Absolutely. But I have a little trick that means it cuts it in one pass, because as clever as the auto blade on the ScanNCut is, as in it's a true auto blade, not one where you choose from a drop down menu of options. So lightweight card could mean anything. Heavyweight card could mean anything. You know, this is specific. It goes along, it reads the depth of the material, but it doesn't know the density of that material. And by the density, I mean how easily it tears. Because you can't tear Mylar because it's plastic, there's no fibres to tear. So we have to give it a little bit of guidance when it comes to doing something like this. So let's bring on a shape, for example. So let's go to our USB and use one of our shapes, our bauble shapes from the digital download yesterday that we did. And it's still available for you to shop that digital download as well. We do live shopping events now. Every day. We have 4 live hours a day, which is super cool. I suspect we will probably go to more in the future, but right now we're doing 4, which is great. And you can join us on any social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, or our website, which is highlightcrafts.com, and you can watch us live, which is super cool. We've also just filmed a class on that download. So if you watch that class, the link is available in that class for that product. So if I go to lift and lock baubles, for example, I'm going to choose my favourite one, which was number 2. I'm going to use the matte layer. So this is just the shape, the outside shape that you would get without the detail. I'm going to click on that and I've now got my shape. Now I want to be able to cut that out of a square that I can then use my inks on, and I can then use my inks, create a beautiful inky background and then use my stamps on, or cut some silhouettes on my ScanNCut and add those on. So to do that, first of all, we're going to go to pattern and we're going to go to a square. Now you don't have to do this. You can just cut it out of the sheet of Mylar, which gives you more space around the outside edge of that bauble. If you're going to use something like paint, paste, ink, anything like that, so a wet medium, I would advise that you do that because it gives you more space around the outside edge, but it does use more of your Mylar. Your other option is to do what we're about to do, which is put it inside of another shape and then you use tape, but it doesn't use as much of your Mylar. So whichever you prefer. So we're going to set this on the mat. I'm going to position the square roughly in the centre of that bauble, and then I'm just going to resize it so it goes over the outside edges of that bauble. So let's do that. Right, let's separate the height and the width because we can. Let's make it a little bit taller and a little bit narrower, and then we'll group that together. So to do that, we just multiple select everything on the mat, press OK, go to Object, Edit, and group it together. Group. Tap the button, Melanie. There you go. And then you press OK. Right. So what we're going to do now is open up this machine. We're going to offer our mat up to the rollers. It's really important when you're loading your mat that A, it's straight, and B, you don't let it go. Because if you let it go and this part of the mat stays up to the roller and that part of the mat doesn't, that roller's going to take it in and your mat will load sideways. So I can't stress this enough. Put it up to the rollers. You don't need to push it so it starts to bend. Just make sure it's butted up. You'll feel the resistance and then just press load. Like that. Okay? Then I'm going to move this up to the top. Now, we talked about it doesn't know the density. So what we're going to do is tell it how deep we want that blade to cut. So we're going to go to cut. We're going to go into our little spanner here. We've got the cut pressure on auto, but you will see down here, instead of having the cutter mount on auto, I've set it to 0.5 millimetre because I know that's enough for it to go around and cut it in one go. If it decides it wants to cut it again, it's fine, but what you might find is if your mat's not quite sticky enough, because it's plastic, it might shift. And if it shifts by a fraction of an inch or a fraction of a millimetre, it won't cut in the same place. And then you don't get that pristine edge on your stencil. So it's just worth doing that little bit of extra work. It's not work, is it? It's pressing a button. So it's now looking at that mylar. It's going down and it's looking at the depth of the material. Doesn't matter what that material is, which is super cool. No 3mm grey board, no MDF. Let's be realistic. Balsa wood splinters. So you can do it, but it's not a perfect cut. I'm going to just put that out there. Sometimes you can get it perfect, sometimes you can't. So it's one of those. It's up to you what you try. Just remember, now then, this is because my mat isn't sticky enough. So it's asking me to quit operating. If that happens, and it starts to screw it up like this, just quit. Don't stress about it, just quit. Unload the mat. What I'm going to do is just move this over slightly here so I can get to that mylar and then unload the mat. I don't mind when things like this happen because it teaches you a lesson. Right, I'm going to pull this out now very gently. I'm going to ease this out, okay? We don't want to damage those rollers. And then I'm going to pull that out. So because my mat isn't sticky enough, look what it's done. It's moved that plastic. That's why it's really important to make sure that your mat's sticky enough. And it's not bad, but it's not enough. So bear with, I'm just going to go and grab another mat. So I've got this mat back. You've got a nice look at our unfinished walls in here, didn't you? We're in the middle of setting up Studio One again for different things, which is super exciting. So this is a mat that's been used a lot, but it has also been retacked. So I'm going to get rid of any extra little bits of card that hasn't been cleaned off. And if you ever want to do that, just soak the mat in some warm soapy water, okay? Don't need to scrub it or anything like that. Just soak it and then it will be fine. And I'm just going to get this out of here. I say it doesn't tear, but actually once you've got a cut into it, it's not bad. Right, that's what can happen. This mat is much stickier, okay? So I can actually pick the mat up. That's what you need. I thought the other one was, but obviously it wasn't. And it's fine. Just don't panic, okay? So all I'm going to do is put my blade housing back where it was, like that. And then we're going to press this down. So let's try that again now. Give it a really good press down onto that mat. Okay, so properly burnish it. If you haven't got one of these, we do sell them, get one of these. It's the best thing you'll buy. Honestly, it's brilliant. Just invest in the tools. It costs a little bit of money, but it just makes a lot of difference. Right, so because I know the stress point now, the machine is, if it's coming along here and down there and across there and up there, it's forcing that material in different directions. So what I'm going to do is just move this across and down slightly. So I'm giving it a little bit more space. So it's cutting more into the better area of the mat, if you like. So please select and cut. Let's try it again, see what we get this time. The thing to do is don't panic, okay? Don't panic, just let it do its thing and then you'll be fine. All right, that's why there's a pause button on it, because these things happen, right? So let's see what we get now. I'll tell you what though, we know that it worked, that depth worked, because it's cut through. If you go much higher than this on this Mylar, If you're using a thicker Mylar, you can go up to 1 mil, but if you go much higher, after a few cuts, it can go through your mat. So just gentle, right? Gentle cuts. Find what it needs. And there is a little bit of, you know, testing. That's what it is. Because I put it on 0.5, it's only gone round once, and that's exactly what we wanted it to do. And now you have the perfect mask, and you also have this layer. So what if you use this layer as your mask or your stencil and did your inking, and then you took your alcohol inks and you put it on there and made a Christmas decoration with that? It's fabulous. Or you might want that and spray around it so that it keeps this bit clear for all your artwork and it has the colour around it. Entirely up to you which one you prefer, but that for me is brilliant. And we can ship the Mylar international, and you get 10 sheets of 12 by 12. So it's perfect because you can get lots of stencils out of one piece. So that's what's to do if it goes wrong. That's how to rectify it. And I'll see you very soon. You take care. Bye.
If you want to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button. Subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notifications of all our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.